Okay, good evening all. Nfyfc I gyd, and thank you all for joining and welcome to the 2021 Nfyfc AGM. And thanks for all of you making the time to attend tonight. And as your president, I'll be chairing the meeting, and hopefully they'll go smoothly, and hopefully they'll go a little bit better than some of the matches that I've refereed. I'm sure you're aware, not just for YFC members and their clubs, but also for everybody really in society and in our communities. It has been a very, very difficult year with the impact of COVID. Has, of course, been significant to us all. For those working from home, although I'm sure many in the farming industry would be working at home in any case, in some instances, but obviously some not as well. So I think first of all, well done to all the YFCs and our members who've adapted to things differently, mostly with virtual. And if you're anything like me, you wouldn't be very good on the technical side of things. So it's certainly been a very different experience. But still, with the impact of COVID, a great deal has been achieved over the last year, and we'll hear a lot about what has been achieved during this meeting. And as you are all aware, we are using the webinar format. So to ask the top table a question, please use the question and answer button, which is at the bottom of your screen. And obviously, if you scroll your mouse across or your finger on the pad, depending how modern your laptop or computer is, and then click on the question and answer icon, and then it'll appear, and then obviously you type in your question and to who it's relevant to as well. Before we go on to the actual official business, I'll first of all introduce you to the top table, so to speak. Dewi Parry, the outgoing chair of council, Rachel Goldie, who is the chair of council, Ed Dungate, Vice Chair of the Council, Rosie Bennett, Vice Chair of the Council, and for those of you who thinks it does look like Father Christmas, that's Delmia Harris, the Chair of the board. So croeso I chi gyd, welcome to you all. We'll now start the proceedings. So bear with me and bear with us all during the next hour or so, however long it will take. For the first point, of course, is apologies of absence. So if you have any apologies for absence, then please send them to the Nfyfc via email, if you will, please. And then point 3. We need to confirm the minutes of the annual general meeting held on the 26th of August 2020. Now, the minutes were circulated around a month ago, and we have received no objections, I believe, or corrections. So without any objections or corrections, these are approved for signature by the meeting. Okay, so diolch yn fawr, thank you. I'll now pass on to Rachel. Rachel, where are you? There you are. I'll pass on to you. Don't forget to unmute, Rachel, that's all.
That's fine. Thank you, Nigel, and good evening, everybody. Obviously, we'd like to thank Nigel for his time over the last year, and I would like to open up the proposal and seconding videos.
Madam Cadeirydd, boneddigion, boneddigesau, a chyd aelodau Ffermwyr Ifanc Genedlaethol. Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, members of Nfyfc. On behalf of Wales YFC, it gives me great pleasure to propose the motion as shown on screen, that Mr Nigel Owens, MBE, be thanked for his services to Nfyfc and be duly re-elected President of the Federation. Firstly, can I thank Nigel for his work and support to the movement over the last 12 months, a year that none of us have expected or could have imagined. I am sure that Nigel would have been looking forward to attending national and county federation events, and hopefully, if the restrictions continue to ease, our members will be able to meet and he will be able to join us in the events. Nigel is a previous member of Llanartha YFC in Carmarthenshire, and of course an internationally renowned rugby referee. Having previously held the position of club secretary and club chairman, he is also a past president of Wales YFC, holding the position between 2009 to 2015. Nigel was keen to help at any opportunity, particularly during the Royal Welsh Week, where he stewarded at the Young People's Village on numerous occasions. Nigel is the current world record holder for the number of test matches refereed, and has also refereed the highly contested Wales YFC Rugby Sevens competition final, which is held during the Royal Welsh Show. I am sure that refereeing the 2015 Rugby World Cup final comes a close second to this highlight. Throughout his working career and at any opportunity, Nigel has credited the YFC movement and the experiences he has had during his time as a member, whether that is whilst he is on S4C Rec, doing radio interviews, writing his Western Mail column every Saturday, or delivering a speech as a keynote speaker. He always promotes the skills and experiences he has gained from YFC. He is a fantastic ambassador for our organisation and is proud of his rural roots. Having recently rekindled his farming career, he is the owner of Mairwen Pedigree Herefords, farming at Mynydd Cerrig, and uses his social media platforms to update his followers on his journey. He is passionate about the agricultural industry and is also an advocate for many mental health charities, one of which being the Farm Safety Foundation and the Yellow Wellies Mind Your Head campaign. Fel referee, mae Nigel yn adnabyddus fel dyn diplomatig, teg a gorau sydd ar gael. Fel person, ni'n allaf feddwl am neb gwell am y swydd hon. Ar ran Clwb Ymyrifan Cymru, mae'n pleser mawr i mi gen I gynnig un o'n ni hunan fel llywydd y mudiad genedlaethol. Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, members, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of Nfyfc to propose one of our own, Mr. Nigel Owens MBE, to thank him for his services and propose his re-election as President of the National Federation of Young Farmers Clubs. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Good evening, Mr. President, ladies, gentlemen and fellow young farmers. It gives me, Jeff Simpkins, South West Area Chairman, great pleasure to be seconding the motion that Mr. Nigel Owens, MBE, be thanked for his services to Nfyfc and be duly re-elected as President from April 2021 to the next AGM. Nigel has been a real asset to the Federation over the last year, and with his passion and ability to raise the profile of farming, equality, mental health and of course rugby, he really sums up what I and we as a federation are so passionate about and believe. Nigel is an active farmer and champions the importance of sustainable local family farming and a love for Hereford cattle, something which I very much share. Nigel has spoken openly about mental health struggles, which again is something I and we as a federation feel is such an important issue to tackle. With this in mind, Nigel is the perfect person to take us forward into the next year as our President, and so it's a great honour and gives me great pleasure to be able to second the motion that he be re-elected for the next year.
Thank you to Katie and Jeff for those videos of proposing and seconding that Nigel be re-elected for the forthcoming year and be thanked for his services. over the past year. The votes were closed at 6 o'clock and unanimously passed that Nigel be re-elected for our president for the forthcoming year. I'll now hand back to Nigel to continue chairing the meeting and say a few words of acceptance.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you both for your kind words in your video, and thank you as well all the members for your support last year and this next year then. And it really is a pleasure, and I honestly mean that. I think first of all, apologies first of all, due to the circumstances of COVID, that I haven't been able to meet a lot of you in person and attend many of the events that take place all over the country throughout the year. But certainly I hope with things starting to ease that I'll be able to do that, particularly from the summer onwards, I hope. So I'm sure that I will get to meet a lot of you during the months and the year to come as well. I think it'd be remiss of me as well not to thank everybody at the Nfyfc for all their hard work as well. Sometimes, you know, the people you see on the screen here maybe sometimes get the credit sometimes, or the flack, depending how you look at it. But there's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes by the excellent staff and members that are involved in the Nfyfc in all the different capacities and put in a huge amount of hard work and effort. So a big thanks to them, particularly during this very difficult year as well. And to all of you as members as well. I know that many of you will be disappointed over the year that a lot of the events and the usual get-togethers have not happened, but I'm sure we can look forward with a bit more optimism, I think, to the coming year, and hopefully we'll get back to a little bit of normality, whatever normality may look like in the future. So once again, it really is an honour and a pleasure to be of service in any way I can to you as a movement and as your president. And please feel free, either via the Nfyfc office or get in touch if there's anything I can do to help or support throughout the year. I'd be more than happy to do that. And hopefully this coming year there'll be opportunities to do that and to come along in person as well, which I really do look forward to doing. So once again, thanks very much for your kind words, and to all of you for your support as well. We'll move on now to the next point, which is the election of deputy presidents, and these are proposed and seconded by Drew Bailey Derbyshire and Jessica Powell of the West Midlands area, and all will be revealed via the video.
For the past year, and the following names be elected from April 2021 to the next annual general meeting. All 7 proposed are all worthy of the role and all show great passion for the members and federation, all which have many years of experience and a wealth of knowledge for us all. I would like to tell you a little bit about 4 of them. My seconder, Jessica Powell, will mention more on the other 3. First, we have a Mr. Howard Gilbert of the Eastern area. Many moons ago, he was nagged by his mother to join, and he has never looked back since. Howard loves the ethos of the Federation and encourages all, no matter what the background, should feel comfortable about joining and participating in the many wonderful activities. Howard spent most of his life in the agricultural sector, but his passion for sport led him to become a qualified rugby referee. This could come in handy. Then we have Mr. Brian Lovegrove from the East Midlands area. I personally have worked with Brian for the past couple of years on the East Midlands Committee, and his enthusiasm has shone through. Brian has held many roles within Young Farmers, to even being Deputy CEO of the Nfyfc for 8 years. This rural Leicestershire lad loves farming and horsing around on his livery yard, but also holds a career in managing the business of trade and membership organisations like the Animal Health. With all this, he still finds time for young farmers, and to be asked to be a deputy president, he says it is an absolute honour. Then we have Mrs. Diane Coles from the northern area. Mrs. Coles joined back in 1971 and has continued to be a great supporter of her club and County Durham Federation. And she never shies away from a good competition. Diane held a position as County Treasurer for an amazing 25 years. She's been progressing all the time from County President to Northern Area President and now an Area Trustee. Then we have Mr. Owen Elliott from the Wales Federation. Owen joined at the age of 15 and he had much success in stock judging and senior debating. And he is no stranger to the things at a national level, from being a council member and competitions chair. He loves coaching and judging junior public speakers, as he says, the joy of watching young adults blossom into very competent communicators for rural communities is one of the major strengths of the Young Farmers movements. So I hope I've given you valuable reasons to why these should be elected as deputy presidents. I'd now like to hand over to Jessica Powell to give more. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen and fellow young farmers. This evening I have the pleasure of seconding the motion that the 2020 Deputy Presidents be thanked for their services to the Federation over the past year and that the individuals named on your screen before you be elected from April 2021 to the next annual general meeting. I would like to take a moment to tell you a little bit more about our three remaining Deputy Presidents. Firstly, David Fellows of the West Midlands area. I have had the pleasure of working alongside David as Area Chair over the past few years. David is a former member of Worcestershire YFC, joining at the age of 12. He has attended many YFC events with his father John, who was also a member of the same club in 1947. He has held many roles throughout his time in YFC, from Treasurer of Worcestershire to County Chair of Worcestershire. He is even lucky enough to travel to Iran with Nfyfc. Secondly is Alethea Snelling of South East area. Alethea started her YFC journey in Newbury Junior YFC in Berkshire in 1981. Since then, Alethea has given as much time as possible to YFC, from both club to national levels. She's currently an extremely proud president of her original club and is also the South East area president. Lastly, but by no means least, we have Nigel Howe of South West area. Starting his YFC career in Wellington YFC, Somerset, which is now known as Wellington and Taunton YFC, he was chairman not once, but twice. Nigel has held many roles in Somerset YFC and is still linked to his original club through being on the advisory. Nigel always supports both area and national in any way that he can. He also has links to Devon YFC, as his family farm is on the Devon-Somerset border. If not helping behind stage at the entertainments, you can find Nigel on the tug of war field supporting. I hope we have filled you in on our 7 Deputy Presidents, but if you would like to know any more about our Deputy Presidents, then please read their biographies in the AGM supporting papers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Drew and Jessica. And as you can see, the motions are carried. So congratulations to Howard Gilbert, Eastern area. Howard, are you going to be the referee, are you? That'll be interesting now. Brian Lovegrove, East Midlands area. Diane Coles, Northern area. Alethea Snelling, Southeast area. Nigel Howe, Southwest area. Owen Elliott, Wales and West Midlands area. Will be David Fellows. Congratulations to all of you. Diane. We're going to point 5, which is the election of Life Vice President. Diane Coles from County Durham, proposed and seconded by Katie Sanderson and Joanna Herbert of County Durham. And we will have all the information on the video.
Good evening, virtual top table, ladies, gentlemen, honoured guests and fellow young farmers. My name is Katie Sanderson from County Durham, and it gives me great pleasure to propose the motion this evening that in recognition of contributions over the past 50 years to County Durham Federation of Young Farmers and to the club, to area and Nfyfc, that Mrs Diane Coles be elected Life Vice President of the Federation. Mrs Coles, or should I say Miss Wade, back in October 1971 when Diane became a member of Durham City. Diane's first meeting 50 years ago was atop by Fillingham photographers. Who knew then that Diane would still have such great involvement within the Federation that we're all so proud to be a part of? A few weeks after becoming a member, Diane entered her first competition, which was cookery and crafts, and who would believe it, she won. This was just the start of Diane's future within the movement, as she went on to compete in a variety of competitions, from stock judging, public speaking, taking part in quizzes, as well as cookery, crafts and dressmaking. Diane also took part in sports, and I've heard there is a photograph somewhere of her dressed in a football strip representing County at Northern Area. Now I think that's a photo we will have to dig out. As Diane continued through her years in Young Farmers, she took on the roles of secretary and treasurer within her home club of Durham City. Her step into county began when she was elected as her club representative to the finance and organisation meetings and executive meetings. As a result of sitting on the Finance and Organisation Committee, Diane was elected as the committee chairman, which then followed by her becoming the county chairman in 1985, a great honour for Diane at this time. As her membership years were coming to an end, Diane herself probably wouldn't have thought she would still be so heavily involved with our fantastic organisation. It wasn't until Barclays Bank ended their relationship with County as treasurer that Diane's life was about to change, and I'm sure Terry, her husband, didn't realise what he was letting himself in for either. It was in 1991 that Diane was elected as County's honorary treasurer. Someone then clearly thought she had a keen eye on finance and was able to keep a hold of those purse strings tightly. 25 years later, she handed over the reins of this role after doing such a sterling job. However, we couldn't get rid of her that easy, and it was an honour to have her elected as County Durham's president. As some of you will know, Diane has not just been involved with club and county, but has also been heavily involved within Northern Area and National. She's been Northern Area President and following this became a Northern Area Trustee and is an invaluable member to the Area Committee. 3 years later, she was then elected as the National Deputy President representing Area. This is such an honour once again and sees Diane attend National Council meetings and would even go to the annual convention. Yes, I've bumped into her a couple of times at Blackpool. For many of us tonight, Young Farmers is also classed as a dating agency, and this was no different for Diane. Over 30 years ago, when Diane would go to the local pub after meetings, she met Terry, and ever since he has been by her side supporting her in everything she has done. Diane has been so involved within the organisation for 50 years, and to this day loves being involved with young people who are enjoying everything that Young Farmers has to offer. On a personal note, Diane has done so many things for me, from helping with competitions to fully support me throughout my year as Northern Area Secretary, my years as Rally and Competitions Chairman, and now as the County Vice Chairman. She has certainly kept me right and offered so many words of wisdom and advice, allowing me to have great success within the Federation, and I'll be forever grateful. Not only will it be an honour, I believe, for Diane to be Life Vice President of the National Federation of Young Farmers, but it will also be an honour for us as members, with all of her years of expertise at all levels. It's with thanks to her father, Mr. Wade, for taking Diane to her first Young Farmers meeting all those 50 years ago that we are so privileged to have her in our organisation. I am therefore honoured to propose the motion, alongside Joanna Herbert, who will be seconding that, in recognition of contributions over the past 50 years to County Durham Federation of Young Farmers and to the club, to area and Nfyfc, that Mrs Diane Coles be elected as Life Vice President of the Federation. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President and fellow young farmers. In recognition of the contributions over the past 50 years to the County Durham Federation of Young Farmers, to the club, to the area and to Nfyfc, I would like to second the motion that Mrs Diane Coles be elected Life Vice President of the Federation. Mrs. Coles has dedicated so much of her time over the past 50 years to young farmers. She has such a wealth of knowledge that benefits all of our members in many aspects of young farmers' life. From speaking competitions through to arranging social events, she has always been available for advice and giving tips on how to run things most efficiently. She is a true asset to our County Durham Federation, but also to the National Federation. Thank you.
Diolch, thank you, Katie and Joanne, and congratulations to Diane. Well done, Diane. Very thoroughly deserved, and you can see the results of the online vote approved this election. Now then, on to point 6. And point 6 is a proposal from Gwent Federation of YFCs, seconded by Montgomery Federation of Young Farmers Clubs, to increase the upper age of YFC membership to 28 years of age. Up to 50, I could join again. Now, video of the speeches will be played, and then we will take questions on the matter. Now, please, as I mentioned earlier, use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Hover the mouse across the bottom of the screen and type the question or comment there, and the panel can see these and can address your questions then. So we'll now play the video for you.
Ladies, gentlemen, Madam Chairman, honoured guests. Abby Williams here, Chairman of Gwent Federation in South Wales. Despite the long technical motion you can see in your agenda and on your screen, our proposal tonight is simple: to change the upper age of YFC members from 26 to 28 from the 1st of September 2021. I am here tonight as, from what I can see, membership figures are declining. Gwent's membership has declined by 50% in the last 5 years, and Nfyfc membership numbers are only 30% of where we were this time last year. A lot of this can be attributed to the pandemic, and although things are starting to look brighter and normality is coming back one piece at a time, none of us are really certain on what the next 12 months will look like. It took 5 years for membership numbers to fully recover after foot and mouth. Let's learn from the past and act to mitigate this now. When membership declines, it's easy just to think about money. Less members, less money in the bank, resulting in less funding for resource throughout. But for me, the big problem is the actual impact it's having on members themselves. Smaller clubs continue to struggle to make up numbers to enter team competitions. They struggle to find people to take on top table roles. They struggle to run a club. It means that the same people within a club are getting pulled on time and time again. They end up leaving YFC early because it's taking too much from them and it wears them down too quickly. It's unfair. These are the members that deserve the most from our organisation, but we are failing them. YFC always has and continues to take too much from too few, and this problem only gets intensified as membership declines. Times have changed. We have to hold officers to higher standards than before, and each year there's more and more responsibility falling on their plates. Young people have changed. The issues they are facing now are far more complicated and far more common than what we've had to deal with in the past. More older members can help guide, support and lead a club. They have the knowledge, experience and maturity to help with the challenges that lie ahead. By expanding membership age range, we are pulling from a larger pool of potential members. A few extra members in your club may not sound like a big deal, but added up across Nfyfc, this change could have a large impact. It works in Ulster, it works in Scotland, where the upper limit is 30. Why are we dragging behind at 26? This change is happening within the 2021 competitions calendar anyway, so will be put into practice next year. If the motion is successful today, it will then continue for another year before being reviewed at the 2023 National Council. We all have our own county and club constitutions. If this change doesn't suit your county, you don't have to adopt it. Keep your limit to 26, but allow the flexibility for other counties to make the change they want and need. Gwent YFC are proposing amendments to the NFYFC Constitution and subsequent changes to the Open Club Constitution and County Federation Constitution, details of which are listed on the screen, to allow an increase in membership to 28. Please, vote to support smaller clubs, vote to support younger members, and vote to create a more sustainable future. Let's increase the membership age to 28. Thank you.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, guests and members of National Federation of Young Farmers Clubs. As Chair of Montgomery YFC, it is my pleasure to second the motion to increase the upper YFC membership age from 26 to 28 years of age as proposed by Abigail Williams, Gwent YFC's County Chairman. It has already been highlighted that there are numerous positive reasons why you should support this change, as it would benefit the current members, clubs, counties, areas and the National Federation, and Montgomery echo the points made in the proposal. Let me be clear, this is not a proposal to sneakily increase the age up to 30, but it is purely based and can be directly linked to the time our members have lost in YFC as a result of COVID-19. In addition, Montgomery YFC believes that COVID-19 has given us the opportunity to evaluate how YFC operates. We do not expect the membership age increase to automatically help clubs get back on their feet, but we do believe that these members will support the reigniting of clubs, which will be a vital part of a bigger picture. By increasing the membership age by 2 years, Montgomery YFC would potentially benefit by an extra 50 members if those members chose to remain in the organisation. This is 54 members to compete in, gain in vital life skills and valuable opportunities, and an extra 50 members paying memberships to support the funding of our valued events and staff. COVID-19 has not only given us more than enough unwanted thinking time, but it has meant that all of our members have lost out on 2 years of YFC friendships, experiences, competitions and socialising. We all appreciate this precious time and understand a huge void both physically and emotionally that we have all lost in YFC. Extending the membership age is key in supporting our valued members and the organisation to successfully navigate the journey out of these unprecedented times. I formally second the proposal that the members of NFYFC support the motion to increase the membership age. Now is the time for an adjustment, and we urge you to vote in favour of this important change.
Thank you both. Now the vote is still live, so please use your votes, and we'll tell you around 30 seconds before the vote is closing. Okay, so remember, please, the vote is live, so please use your votes. We will now move on to the panel for the question and answer session on this motion, and to chair the panel, I'll now hand you over to Rachel Coles. Rachel, all yours.
Thank you, Nigel. Yes, so any questions or questions coming through, please send them into the question and answer box at the bottom of the thing, at the bottom of your screens, and we have a couple of questions to start off with that we've received prior to the meeting, and I'm going to go to Rosie to answer my first question that we've received. We've heard several comments about affecting competitions, and asked how this is going to affect the competitions, and would there be another age band?
So thank you, Rachel, for your question, and I've heard this comment a lot as well. What we've got to remember is at the last council meeting, the competition steering group put forward that the age range now for competitions that are taking place at the moment will go up to 28. So those members who are maybe associate members at the moment are able to take part in those senior competitions. So should this motion go through, it won't actually change anything in that terms as to what's happening now. I think the competition steering group would look at this in a lot of detail, and should the age range go up, there'll be sort of detailed consideration as to whether we would change the age bands and whether it's appropriate to do so. We've also got to remember that there are competitions that take place already that have different sort of age bands to what the standard junior, intermediate, senior bands that we see at the moment are. Sort of, that be junior reading only goes up to 14. We also have tug of war, which you can't start until you're 15. So although it may seem like competitions will be affected, I think it's something that can be adapted, and as a federation we will work to adapt that. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Rosie. Again, if anyone has any questions, there's nothing come through yet, please ask your question at the bottom of your screens. Another question that we have received prior to the meeting, which I'll go to Abby with, is why do we need to change the age when we already have club leaders to support and lead our clubs?
Thanks, Rachel. Just like to say thank you to everyone for discussing this over the last few weeks, and I think there's definitely opportunity to learn, but for me there's a big difference between member to member to club leader. It's a very different dynamic, and actually if you're a younger member in office and you're not doing so well, it's quite a big deal to approach someone who's a club leader who's several years older than you. You might not know that well, and it's quite a hard thing to do, so it's not always the easiest thing to go out and get help. Whereas if it's an older member who's there, who does a few competitions with you, who does a few socials, they might not be at everything, but you've already got a relationship with them. I think that's a much easier step to support a younger member. And if you're that younger member, going up to approach them. So actually, yes, your club leaders are there to help, support and lead, but they're not there every single week. They're not there going to the socials with you or doing the competitions. Whereas if the older members are there, they're much easier to approach, and I think that will actually help support younger members a lot more than we'd realise. Thanks.
Thanks, Abby. And we've got a question, and I'll take this one to Ed. What does this mean for those 27, 28-year-olds currently that are now registered as associate members?
Well, exactly that, Rach. So those who are 27 and 28 at the minute are associate members, and their counties will be billed for them as associate members, but they are allowed to compete due to the current COVID situation. But if this motion goes through, it will be effective from the 1st of September this year. So as of September, anyone aged 28 and under will become a full member in all sense of the word. But anyone aged 29 before the 1st of September this year, like me, unfortunately, unlucky, you will still be an associate and you won't be able to compete anymore.
Thank you, Ed. We've just trying to fathom a rather lengthy question in the chat box there. I'm going to go to Abby with a question and then come back to the lengthy one. Do we not think that it's better for younger members to take on roles earlier in their YFC career to get more experience, so they're able to go on to Nfyfc, so Nfyfc has more in age range of members? I presume that would be involved at council.
I agree that it's really good for younger members to take on roles earlier, but what I've experienced in my club is if you have got a smaller number of members, then if every single top table member is aged 18, 19, 20, actually it's just too much for them. They end up doing 2 or 3 years of top table and just having enough. And I know from experience going from club to county that it's more work at a club than it is going on and on and on. And if you have enough too soon, then you're not there to go on at county. That's a problem we've found, that people have just had enough by the time they move up to going into a county role. and it lasts a lifetime. I do a lot of questionnaires on when top tables have finished at the end of the year, and they just don't want to do it anymore because they've just had enough. So I think it's good to have a few younger members getting that experience, but it's also good to have a few older members in your club to still pick up some of that slack. I hope that answers that.
Thanks, Abby. If the person who asked that question needs any more clarification, please do come back to us. Okay, so I'm going to go to Ed to answer, and sort of the main bits I think from this is how are we going to police these extra members? Will we need more DBS checks? And why don't we create more roles for younger members within the clubs? And finally, how are these changes going to be adopted at county and club levels if this was to be passed? Again, if I need to go any further with your question, please put another comment in the box.
Okay, I'll have a go at this. In terms of county and club levels, Nfyfc expect that county and club, if this motion is passed, county and club constitutions are amended accordingly in September this year. We are not going to be checking up on every club to check you have done it, but we expect it will be done, as at an AGM it's standard to update your constitution anyway. Should we have more roles for younger members in clubs? Possibly, and clubs are welcome to. A lot of counties have youth forums, and some clubs have junior officers. So I wouldn't be against that at all. But I don't think it's for Nfyfc to dictate. And thirdly, in terms of should we be concentrating more on reducing the lower age limit below 10 to compete with scouts and guides and cadets? I think that this is a kind of a different question, and any motion could be put to the AGM to change the lower age limit, which could be done at next year's AGM. I'm not going to give a personal opinion on the lower age limit, but that I know there'd be very varied views across clubs across the country about that. Is 10 to 26 much different to 10 to 28? I'd suggest not. In terms of will more DBS checks be required, we will refer to our safeguarding policy and our new safeguarding lead Val, who's very experienced, and if more DBSs are required, then we will get them done. Hope I've sufficiently answered that. Anyone else can jump in.
Thanks, Ed. I'm hoping you've covered that. I have just popped in the question answer, and apologies, I should have said at the start of this that we will only be taking one question per person as we would in a normal AGM. So I do believe the person with the long question has asked, they are anonymous, several more questions. I think they will have been covered. We have had a comment come from Brian E from Montgomery, who would just like to reiterate that all members across the board have missed out on YFC experiences over the last 2 years because of COVID-19. These extra 2 years can give them back, can give those experiences back to them all. Okay, if there is no more questions, we will return back to Abby just for a final few words, and then then the meeting will hand back to Nigel. Rosie, did you want to say something?
I just sort of wanted to second what Ed had said, and I think that for the last 2 years it's nearly 2 years now anyway, we've missed out on some opportunities, and I don't think that there's any harm in sort of trying something, and then because this decision could be reversed should it need to be, If it didn't work, I think we need to encourage those members that may have lost out who really do love young farmers, and I don't think it could be anything other than a good thing.
Okay, Abby, do you want to say your final few words as the person who brought the proposal to the floor?
Rich, could I just put in quickly?
Yes, of course.
Just like to make the point that we had hoped that potentially we would have had lots of speakers on the debate tonight, but we had no requests from anyone to speak. Just so that's why we've gone ahead with this format. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have also just received a question in the box letting me know that some of these questions are being answered by asked by different people, just anonymously. I understand if you want to stay anonymously, but you won't be able to get up at the front of the AGM anonymously, so I can't tell who has asked more than one question. I think unless anyone has anything else that we haven't really covered, please could you put something in ASAP before I hand over to Abby. NFYFC will be issuing templates of constitutions to assist with the change, so you can adopt those in your constitutions, and it will, if the motion is passed this evening, it will be in place as of September, and you will need to pass this through your AGM and your constitutions. I know, Robbie, you've said that you did ask anonymously. If you really want to remain anonymous, please can you send a private message to me then or something, so we can answer your question, or else we're going to have to move on. Okay, I'm going to go to Abby, and if there's anything we feel that we really do need to answer, we can look to answer that after. So Abby, your final few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I think you've all heard what you need to hear tonight, and your mind's probably made up. I know it's a bit controversial. I do think Ed made a very good point there, that there's not that much difference between being 26 and 28, and a few extra members isn't going to hurt anybody. So I'm not going to drag this out any further, except that I don't agree with everything Boris Johnson has to say, but I do agree that now is the time to build back better. And for me, this is one small change that will help create a YFC that matches the times that we live in. Thank you to everyone who's taken the time to discuss this over the last few weeks, and to Montgomery for seconding. For or against, the important message is that we continue to challenge who we are and what we do, so that we can stay relevant, not just for another 89 years. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, Abigail, and thanks everybody for taking part in that, and thank you all as well for your questions. Right, the vote will be closing in 30 seconds. So if you're still undecided or you still haven't voted, now is your time to do so. 26 seconds left now, and then hopefully, I'm sure we get the counting and everything right. Hopefully, we'll have the results for you within the next minute or so. So if anybody wants to nip to the toilet or wants to go and get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or anything, then now is your time to do so. But the voting is getting very, very close to close, so get your votes in, and please do use your votes, because obviously it is a very important motion for you to decide on. And then once we have the results, I will let you know what they are. So I'm sure people are busy counting. I think thanks as well thanks to everybody for the way you handled that discussion as well. It's very, very open, very professional, and thank you all for those of you who sent your questions in as well. I think the voting is closed now. 30 seconds has passed, so hopefully we'll get the results to you pretty quick. But the voting is closed now. Okay. And after we've had the votes in, we'll move on then to points 7, points 8, 9, and then number 10 will be closed. Pretty much like Boris Johnson's time at number 10 maybe is coming to an end. The door closing around him.
Hey guys, did you hear about the young farmer who went to the county rally? No, it was so long ago I can't remember the rest of the joke.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, I believe we have the results of the motion to increase the upper age of the YFC members to 28 years of age. Here they are. So, the excitement going here now. We have yeah, James is just sending me in bold letters now. What's happening is I can't read, James, don't worry. We have 2.5% absentations. We have 15.6 against, and in favour we have 81.9%. So pretty clear mandate then from the members. So thank you all for voting. So the motion is carried and is improved by 81.9% in favour of the motion. So okay, it's a very clear mandate for us all there. Okay. Let's move on to point 7. This section we will cover the financial sections of the AGM, and then we have a video summarising the National Federation of Farmers Clubs year from the chairs of each of the steering groups, followed by the 2020 Nfyfc Chair of Council, Dewi Parry. So I believe now we go on to point B, which I will call on Mr. Delmy Harris, Chair of the Board, who's going to give us a live speech. So Delmy, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President and young farmers. It is my duty and pleasure this year to present the audited accounts. I decided to do it live because I think it would have taken me about 100 takes to get this right. And I think I would have had a very sore left arm trying to hold my phone all the way through. So I'm just going to go through the headline numbers for you, rather than go through the accounts in detail, because you've all had copies of them. And what I'd ask you, if you have any questions, rather than raise them tonight, if you could email Nfyfc with any questions, and we'll get back to you within the next 7 days. The headline numbers are: the 2020 income was 776,000, expenditures 708,000, which gave us a trading surplus of just under 68,000, and which is an excellent result for the Federation when we think about the budgets that had been previously approved for this year showed a deficit in the region of £300,000. In addition to that surplus, the investment portfolio has gained an investment by 124,000, so bringing in a net movement in funds for the last financial year of 192,000, which puts us in a position where we have just over £3 million in reserves. 1.184 million is restricted funds, with 1,898,000 is unrestricted. So it puts us in a really good position. Rather than go through every line of the account, I thought what I'd do is just give you a little bit of the story around the journey we've taken this year to get us to this position. Okay, so January 2020, we had a key meeting, which was our summit. And over the last 12 months, we've taken on board some of the actions and comments and decisions made following the summit. And thank those people who did come to the summit as well, because you played a very important part in shaping this year for us. So following the summit, we had approved a budget with an operating deficit of £77,000 for the last financial year. However, at the end of March, we had to revise the budget because of the pandemic hitting us. The first lockdown started, and we believed at that point that we would return to probably more to normal by the summer. Little did we know at that time. We managed to cancel all venue bookings, which were the AGM training venues, council venues, and had deposits returned to us. Many other similar organisations have lost thousands of pounds. So we were very lucky to act swiftly with this. In April, we made more significant revisions to plans and budgets, closely examined what the Nfyfc must do for the YFC community. We put in place isolation challenges with help from the steering groups. We started weekly support meetings with county staff, with meetings with county chairs as well. We adapted to online governance with frequent board and COVID response meetings, online council meetings, and of course the AGM last year was online as well as this year. From May, we really pulled back hard on expenses, made use of the job retention scheme. You'll see that in the budget as a £27,000 grant coming in there. And by June, we made decisions that staffing restructure was required to manage our employment overheads, and those were put in place and redundancies were made. Financially, the Nfyfc continued to tightly manage the funds and started working on what we would need to do for 2021 and 2022. And that work is still ongoing as we have to work through this pandemic and understand the implications of various lockdowns and where we will be financially with a change in membership numbers that we are facing. The board supported the change put forward to the AGM last August for the subscription fee rather than a levy, and the subscription is going to remain at £25.80. And at that time, we believed that the YFC would have started back in the autumn. By the end of the year, the officers of council decided that they need to recognise the impact the pandemic has had on the membership and the subscription. And so the board made the decision that the next invoices that would be invoiced to the counties at year end in September this year would be reduced by 60%. So that would be £10 per member for this year. This is just to help, hopefully, counties and clubs with recruitment, and also recognise that we haven't been able to provide everything that you're used to in the YFC year. We are, as I said, currently reviewing our budgets again, and we are looking at 2 years of a very bleak picture at the moment. But now I would like to thank the trustees for their confidence in the board and for allowing us to work on a deficit for the next 2 years. Further information on the budgets will be presented to the June Council. In addition to all of these activities and the work we've been doing, the long-awaited refurbishment of the YFC Centre was done. Unfortunately, what happened, we started the work prior to COVID, and we were at a point of no return when lockdown was announced, because there was no windows and no doors and hardly any building left. So we had to push forward with that work, but that money was funded from reserves from a restricted fund. Further restructure of staffing happened with bringing in the development and training officers and also a head of safeguarding. And these were roles that we developed following your feedback and input into our summit day. We are looking at seeing how we can resource these roles for the future, because of course, as you all know, these are temporary contracts because of funding. You're all aware that HOPS has been sold, Hops has really struggled due to travel restrictions that prevented the overseas workers, and we were unable to recruit for farmers for the usual staffing that they usually use Hops for. And of course, with other changes in the political landscape, the decision was made to wind down the business or to sell it. We were lucky to receive an offer for the business, which after negotiations was accepted, and we completed the sale of the business on the 28th of January 2021. I'd like to thank the directors of Hops for the dedication over many years, and of course welcome Karen to the team as well. We've inherited Karen into our staffing team as a long and loyal supporter of the work in Hops as well. This year has been hard work for our staff at both counties and Nfyfc. And a lot of things are changing and are carrying on to change. We're working at a faster pace than ever. We're adapting to online programming, making our governance work online, so much more than we could never have imagined this probably 2 years ago. Our new staff have had a very different start to working for Nfyfc, and hopefully they will soon be able to see the power of YFC activities and the passion of you, the members, as they get out and about. 2021 will see us continue to adapt. We must help our clubs to restart. We must all work hard to recruit members. We have a lottery grant to assist with changing, especially digital change, and we have secured further grants and trust funds and brought on board some new sponsors. Online and blended operations are with us to stay. We must all make the best use of that. It helps us to manage our time, allows us to meet more frequently, make decisions quicker, which is very helpful, which is always a challenge for us in an organisation covering all of England and Wales. So we hope the online meetings will mean that we carry on this way and we'll be kinder to the environment, which is really relevant as we look forward. A huge thank you to the officers, to James and the staff team at Nfyfc and our staff teams at all levels of the movement, and to you, the members, for embracing these changes and making sure YFC continues to go from strength to strength. Your adaptation to the new way of working, to the new YFC, to what's going around you at home and your communities has been absolutely amazing. The resilience you've shown and the support you've given the communities is far and above what any other organisation I know has been able to provide. So well done to all of you. In the annual report, you'll see I've quoted some words of Winston Churchill, and those words end with, "For this is your time." And so this is your time to work together, to be kind and to fiercely rebuild our YFC, possibly a different YFC, the one we all need to shape together. Okay, thank you for that, for listening, and I will let the report be adopted by the proposal secretary. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch, thank you, Delmi. Could have sat here and listened to you speak all night. I thought we were going to for a minute. Right, we will now move on to adopt the accounts and appoint the auditors, and it is all here from Ed Bentley, Yorkshire and Ed Bentley, Yorkshire, and Faye Bevan, Herefordshire.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, fellow young farmers and distinguished guests. My name is Ed Bentley, the newly elected Yorkshire YFC chairman. This evening I would like to propose the motion that the audited accounts for 2020 be adopted and that the firm of auditors Crowe UK LLP be appointed for 2021. As shown on pages 11 and 12 of the agenda pack and the annual report, you will see the financial statements. You'll be pleased to hear I am not going to go through these numbers exactly line for line with you this evening. Despite the global pandemic hitting the UK in March 2020, we can see a surplus or profit has been made through normal operations of YFC and an increase on Nfyfc investments for the year ending the 31st of December 2020. These accounts have been ratified and audited by Crowe UK LLP. They operate in a professional and timely manner, and I have no hesitation in proposing them for the forthcoming year. Members, I ask you to support the motion that the audited accounts for 2020, as printed, be adopted and that the firm of auditors Crowe UK LLP be appointed for 2021. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, honoured guests, ladies, gentlemen and fellow young farmers. It gives me great pleasure in seconding the motion that the audited accounts 2020 as printed and that the firm auditors Crowe UK be appointed for the year 2021. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ed and Faye. Are you having a rave or something there, Faye? Are you? And the music in the background. Okay, so the results of the online vote approved this election. So thank you for that. Right, we move on to point 8, which is adoption of the annual report. We move to the rest of the annual report. I will now play the videos from each of the steering group chairs, and they will be George Baxter, Agri, Grace Milbank, Competitions, Lucy Stowell, Membership and Marketing, Steph Watkins, Personal Development, Ruth Cooper, Youth Forum, Dewi Parry, Chair of 2020 Nfyfc Council, will propose the annual report, and Ed Dungate will second the annual report. So, and here is the video for you. Enjoy.
Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Chair, fellow young farmers and honoured guests. For those who don't know me, I'm George Baxter and I was the YFC Agri Chair for last year. YFC Agri is one of the steering groups of Nfyfc, and the role of this group, which is made up of members from all across the UK, is to represent the views of all our members who live and work in the rural environment, and to be at the forefront of delivering positive change for our members, as well as ensuring events, resources and opportunities are made available for them. Now I'm here at my kitchen table, and what a year my kitchen has seen. From kicking off Cereals Live with a virtual breakfast to hosting a talk with Susie Daly from the RABI about mental health and the challenges that brings, to then going on to the opportunity to host a virtual debate with our very own President Nigel Owens, along with Ivan Annabelle, Beth Duchesne and Tom Pope, our new YFC Agri Chair. And then going on to a virtual tour of the Allerton project at Loddington, kindly hosted by Phil Jarvis and Alistair Leake. But I think the most important thing for me, and probably one of the only positives from COVID, is how it has transformed the Agri Steering Group. From 3 to 25 meetings a year, more engagement and more cohesion than ever before. I have enjoyed every moment of being at the helm of the steering group, and I know Tom is doing a great job keeping the ship sailing, even stronger than ever. I want to thank all the members that got involved with the group, and any members that want to get involved in the future, I strongly urge you to get involved in the meetings. I was told tonight had to be pre-recorded, which I'm sure you'll all be pleased with, as I promised not to mess with the camera, and probably most importantly, because the last time I spoke, we got close enough to the boundaries that I could see a worried look on James's face. Now, I'd be lying if I said that last year has been straightforward. What for many has been a tough year, I think that Young Farmers as an organisation has pulled through, and I'm glad to see clubs meeting again, and I hope we can return stronger in the future. As I sit here in a moment of reflection, a grassroots member from Yorkshire YFC turned out to pastures new into Cambridgeshire YFC and finishing my journey as YFC Agri Chair, I never thought I would come this far and have so many great memories. If I can do it, then so can you. Sat amongst you are some of the leaders of YFC, and you don't even know it yet. But most importantly, young farmers, be brilliant and don't forget to have fun, learn and achieve. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow Nfyfc members and the guests who have joined us for this evening's Nfyfc AGM. In 2020, I had the honour of being your Nfyfc Competitions Steering Group Chairman. So I'm just going to very quickly give you the competitions highlights of 2020. So for me, the greatest achievement that the competition steering group celebrated were the isolation challenges. These ran throughout the lockdown period, April to July, with a huge range of competitions, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you all that because hopefully many of you competed in them and also got involved in the judging of the monthly isolation challenge finals. So those are a great success. It obviously weren't as we anticipated, so had to be put together fairly last minute in comparison to how the competitions programme is normally run. So my thanks to all of the Nfyfc staff for their help there, and then also those who contributed all of the ideas. And one national final that was able, or two national finals that were able to take place, were the senior and junior member of the year interviews. We're very lucky that they did go ahead and ran on Zoom, which just proves that actually YFC is very much capable of adapting, and although it isn't as we'd have wanted, it did still mean that these competitions went ahead. Particular congratulations to Lucy Bell of East Riding of Yorkshire, who won the Junior Member of the Year and was really praised for all of her enthusiasm in YFC, and hopefully we see more of Lucy competing. Lastly, I'd just like to thank all of the steering group members. We had a lot of meetings this year, more than we would obviously normally have. It was great to have so much enthusiasm and you guys contributing, because otherwise I think it would be quite difficult to have chaired all those Zoom meetings. So thank you, and also thank you to Margaret and Lauren for all of their help, because they really do so much for the steering group.
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow young farmers and distinguished guests. It's been a fantastic 2 years of being the Membership and Marketing Chairman. I've worked alongside so many enthusiastic and dedicated members who all have so many wonderful ideas to share to the steering group. The highlight for the steering group have been another successful National Young Farmers Week, again kindly sponsored by NatWest. The Nfyfc Achiever Awards were launched, and announcing the results in National Young Farmers Week combined two main pieces of work done by the steering group. The Achiever Awards were well supported by the members, interacting on social media throughout the week, with the Heart of YFC award being voted on during the week and awarded to Katie Sanderson of County Durham Young Farmers. Once again, I'd like to thank all the judges for giving up their time to judge the different categories, and I know it was a very difficult job. As a steering group, we also launched the Welly campaign, which is working its way across England and Wales as we speak, and at the moment has raised in excess of £20,000. I'd like to thank you all for the support and giving ideas into the steering group, and wish everyone success for the upcoming year.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, fellow young farmers and honoured guests. What a year it has been, one we definitely did not expect. The pandemic certainly created a challenging year for the Personal Development Steering Group, who support the training and travel programmes. We had to learn to adapt and change our ways. Training was offered online, on Zoom, something we are very familiar with now, and also guides and support were added to the Nfyfc website for clubs and everyone to access. This proves that YFC can adapt and make the most of anything. With the travel restrictions in place, the travel programme, which has been running for more than 70 years, had to be put on hold. Disappointing news for all the members who had earned a place, but fingers crossed for 2021. A highlight was joining forces with the other steering groups to help during such a challenging year, proving that YFC always pulls together, and through tough times we always get through it. On a personal note, this year has helped me gain confidence, and most of all, I feel like I've given something back to an amazing organisation that has given me so much and keeps giving. I'd enjoyed the meetings with you all on Zoom, but I hope we all meet again soon in person. Good luck to Polly and the Personal Development Steering Group for the forthcoming year. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and of course my fellow young farmers. My name is Ruth Cooper. I'm a member of Cumbria YFC and I was chairman of the Youth Forum from February 2020 to February 2021. With virtual meetings making it easier for members to attend, the Youth Forum has grown both in number and strength. I've been fortunate to chair more than 10 meetings instead of the usual 3, and have formed great friendships with my fellow forum members whilst working together on projects. Over the past year, the Youth Forum has worked with external organisations to ensure the opinions of young people from rural areas are heard on a national scale. In October, Richard Jays and Rosie Finney attended the British Youth Council's online council meeting, where the forum's motion, young people living and working in rural areas should have the same connectivity as those living in urban areas, no matter their circumstances, was passed and adopted the BYC's manifesto. Another highlight from my year as chair is how much the Youth Forum has grown in number. By reaching out to more members, we have been able to bring together more young people to ensure their views are reflected in Nfyfc's programme of work. From our first Zoom meetings with around 6 or 7 members to my final meeting as chair with 20 members and 3 co-options is incredible. Finally, my main highlight of this year is the YFC Take Time project. Before the pandemic, the Youth Forum decided to focus on mental health for the next 12 months. In May 2020, during Mental Health Awareness Week, we published the YFC Take Time project, an online resource offering tips and support for members when looking after their mental health. The project attracted a lot of interest, with press coverage, a reach of over 260,000 on social media, and has since been backed and shared by the NHS Youth Forum, Rural Youth Europe and the British Youth Council. I'm so proud of how the forum came together on this, and to see it have such an impact has been fantastic. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dewi Parry, and I'm a has-been. You all have a digital copy of the annual report, so I will keep this mercifully brief and repeat very little of what's in it. The uncertainty presented to Nfyfc this last year required certain people to stand up, or more accurately sit down in a Zoom and be counted. The annual report rightly highlights many of these people, but as you've given me this platform, I would like to again thank Grace, Ruth, George, Lucy and Steph, 5 steering group chairs who will be long celebrated for their dynamism, their enthusiasm and their passion. I could not have hoped for better. There is no mention by name of most of the Nfyfc staff team, but both old and new have been wonderful. You should all be as thankful of having them as I am. You've also been very lucky with your board of management, who are duly named in the report, and lucky also to have Rachel, Ed and now Rosie, without forgetting Delmy, whose prose in the report is worth a read. It's probably better than mine. Maybe. There are obviously too many to thank by name for YFC's successes this past year. To all the members, clubs, counties, area committees, Wales Council, steering groups and Nfyfc Council. You will all look back one day, be that day soon or a long way into your futures, and you will be proud of what you did. Thank you for proving, beyond contestation, the value, the importance, the essence of YFC, and showing it to your communities. I don't really have a highlight of my year of being your chairman. I enjoyed the year, immeasurably. It was irregular, but being honest, so am I. The best experience I had was getting to know so many of you as well as I did and benefiting from your talent. You made being your chairman easy and enjoyable. So, to formalities. Despite having pointed out very little of what is in the annual report, I would like to formally propose its adoption. Diolch.
Good evening, Mr. President, honoured guests, fellow young farmers. I'm Ed Dungate from Northumberland and Vice Chair of Council, and I'd like to second the adoption of the annual report for 2020. Have you read the annual report? No? Well, you're in luck. It's available on the Nfyfc website. It's full of pictures and videos and a load of information about the achievements of members across England and Wales during these past 12 godforsaken months. If you can read it and don't come out with an overwhelming sense of pride for having remained part of this great organisation during these times, then I'll be surprised. Dewi Parry, always wanted to go down in history, and now he has, as the chairman who visited the fewest counties ever. But I must admit that his online game was very strong. His final words in his statement of this report read like this. This year, YFC was tested. It adapted, it supported, it overcame, it passed the test and survived. I'm proud of that, but I also know that we can't be content to survive. The important year is ahead of us, not behind. Let us thrive.
Thank you all. Very enjoyable listen, I must say. And the results of the online vote approved this election. Okay, now then, before we bring things to an end, we have an announcement. We are thrilled tonight to be launching the 2021 Nfyfc Achiever Awards. Now, these are on the website and links will be published via social media tomorrow, so you can start making nominations. And here's a little video for you about it all. Okay, if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. So, young farmers, nominate your YFC friends, nominate yourselves, and help us celebrate the achievements of our members and of the organisation. We really do have a huge amount to be proud of, and you all should be proud of yourselves and of the organisation and the movements and all the various clubs. So please show it and get nominating. I'll hand now over to Rosie Bennett, who is going to say a vote of thanks and a live speech. And Rosie, I hope your live speech is a bit more entertaining than Delmi's, so over to you.
Mr. President, honoured guests, fellow young farmers, it gives me great pleasure to conclude the 89th Annual General Meeting with the vote of thanks. To be able to have such wide attendance from our membership tonight is only facilitated from the fact that we're taking place in the comfort of our own homes, from what is the new norm of Zoom. Although this has now become commonplace for us all, it cannot be underestimated at the amount of work that goes into organising this AGM. James and all the team at Nfyfc are extremely grateful for your hard work. Nigel, as President, you have ensured tonight's meeting has run smoothly, and we thank you for all your positivity and advocacy of the YFC movement. In what has been an incredibly surreal year for young farmers, as a movement we can be proud of each member, club and county has given their all to ensuring YFC continued, albeit from behind a computer screen. Dewey led from the front and adapted to this new world amazingly, and was of course supported by Rachel, Ed and the steering group chairs, Grace, Ruth, George, Lucy and Steph. In the videos tonight, we've seen the dedicated team of steering group chairs have proven what can be achieved despite the COVID challenges. Meetings have become more regular, and this has meant we've made massive steps, adapted and achieved more than we would have dreamt of when we were told we had to stay at home. We've shaped the direction of the movement and can be very proud of their achievements of the last 12 months. Delmy Harries and the Board of Management have recognised that times ahead will be tough and we need to give back to the membership, and this has been done in our discount of membership fees for the coming year. We have all adapted brilliantly to this new way of holding meetings, and I am pleased that you as members have been so willing to take part tonight. Even though we're not together, tonight we have made history once again with the increase in age to 28. Proves that our federation is willing to adapt to make sure we get the best out of our members and our organisation. So thank you everyone who's contributed questions to tonight's meeting. My admiration for our federation continues to grow. It's now more than ever important that we continue all this hard work. As a membership, we must support each other in these unusual times emerging out of various lockdowns. We need to be encouraging and supporting where we can, and most of all, enjoying a good, long overdue social, which our membership really needs right now. I know before too long, YFC will be back stronger than it has ever been before. It's evident that as a membership, we are strong and we work well through tough times. Here's to the 90th year, run by the members, for the members. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. And that brings us to a close. So just thank you all for your time in attending tonight, and more importantly as well for all of you in participating and taking part in tonight's meeting as well. And let's certainly hope, and I'm pretty confident that next year I'll be able to chair in real person, and a real in person, not a real person, and we can have a few beers as well to celebrate everything that is so wonderful about this wonderful movement, which I am very, very humbled and proud and privileged to still be a part of. Felly, thank you all for taking part, and more importantly, thank you to the members as well for your attendance and your input tonight as well. And that is it. We will say no star, Cascandawel. Sweet dreams to you all. Good night.